Hello?
Hello?
Not like I need one of these. They could probably hear me 4 zip codes away.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
I'd like to point out that Rachael Ray is a trooper. She, is it okay if I say in
Sure.
the thing? Yeah, just a little bit of a strain in her neck and her shoulder. She has like maybe 70% mobility right now. Is that about right?
Yeah, if anybody
Yeah.
asks me something over here, I got to go like this.
But she's up
It'll
here.
work out.
She's up here on stage.
It'll work out.
Yeah. So we're here to talk about her new book, My Year in Meals, which is very much a diary of a year in meals.
It is literally a diary of everything we made at home for more than a year, really, because it's a smart book. There's additional materials offered. Everything we've been cooking since I delivered the manuscript in late spring until the pub date, which was just a couple of weeks ago, will also be available to people as well. So
Oh, so
it'll be, it's sort of like a book and then some.
a book plus.
A book plus.
A book with some added content. Well, so it starts in April
Of last year.
of last year, and I think that's interesting because you can cheat anything in publishing. You could have started it in January, that would have been this January, but you decided that you wanted this to be a true accounting of your year in meals.
Yeah, the end paper of the book on my side of the book is really a flip book. It's 2 books in one. My husband's the co-author, and he wrote My Year in Cocktails. John Kuzmano's his name. Right. And my end papers are my notebooks. I keep these little paper notebooks with me, and I have now for more than 15 years written everything for the cookbooks, now the magazine, the Week in a Day, the daytime show. All of that comes out of these little paper notebooks. And about a year ago, my friend Cappy, who runs our children's initiative, Yummo, we were doing a fundraiser at my old high school in upstate New York, and he was staying at our house. And he said, we were making pizzas together at midnight because we had just gotten in from the event. And he said, he took a bunch of pictures of them, and he's like, wow, these are great. And he was tweeting them and putting them up on his own Facebook and all that. And he's like, why don't you do this? You should really do a diary and take pictures of what you guys actually make at home. I think people might be surprised. And so we just started doing it for fun, and it sort of grew from there. And now the book in print has over 700 recipes, or 600 and something recipes, and then there's a couple hundred more that we have typed up and taken pictures of since then. So now we're in the habit of it. Now we just do it, period.
Right, and document everything.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I found really interesting in the book is on occasion, like, you'll skip a couple of days, so it really is, it's like what you're cooking at home.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If I'm out of town, or the rule is if I get home before 9 p.m., we make dinner. If I get home after 9 p.m., that's the night for us for pizza or Thai or something.
Yeah. Well, so if it's like 8:20, do you rush home, or do you kind of pull back and kind of eat?
No, I call John, tell him to open the wine and put the water on, because we're probably having pasta. But
Okay.
he gets a head start for me. But if I'm going to make it through the door before 9, we're cooking.
Right.
And if John's playing, he doesn't like to eat before a show. My husband is lawyer by day, but he has a band, and sometimes he plays at night. He doesn't like eating before a show. So we will have midnight spaghetti after a show, but usually the rule is 9 p.m.
Okay. And another thing that I liked about the book is that it really is an account of how one would eat now. In other words, it's not too tied to a theme. Like in December, actually, can we go and bring up December 7th or 6th, or it's, I think, a risotto, butternut squash risotto.
That's so unfair. It says Food Photography by Rachael Ray and John Kuzmano. John took pretty much every food picture in the book.
Okay.
He bought me the Leica camera that he used, but it's so intricate. It's not one of those Leicas, it's like a point and shoot. It's so difficult to use this thing. I get dizzy trying to focus it. So John really deserves all of the credit or the blame. These are all home pictures. None of them are professional photography, of course.
Right.
But John really took all the pictures. All the vacation pictures are mine when we were traveling and stuff. Those are mine, but everything else is my sweet husband, John.
Well, so on, let's see, it's Wednesday the 7th up there. I think that there's a butternut squash risotto, which is really nice. And then from there, the next meal, I guess, is on the 10th, and that's a couple of roasts. And then,
Well, that's actually a Christmas tree. We did not eat
I'm
that
sorry.
horse.
well, and this is what I want to get to because I think this is cool. It's a chorizo and eggs.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what you would eat. Like, and in fact, last night I had a chorizo and cod that I cooked at home. Like, it's interesting that in December, oftentimes in cookbooks, you're so kind of tied to the season. It has to be like mulled cider, butter,
Right,
with
right, right.
allspice.
No, we
pancakes.
started a garden a couple years ago, so this is probably the most seasonal collection I've ever done because we had seasonal ingredients. We had so many tomatoes, it was embarrassing. We were giving them to strangers, literally, like trying to hand them off to neighbors that we'd never met. Here, have some tomatoes. So it is seasonal, which is great, but it's also the way we live, and we're like everybody else. Some days we only make one meal, dinner. Some days we make breakfast and dinner. If we have house guests, we offer breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or at least a brunch or something. So every day is very different, and there's blocks of time in there where if we're out of town or it's a work trip or something, where very little gets cooked, bless you. And there's other days where if I'm in upstate New York, where I come from, I'm from the Adirondacks. If I'm home, John's in his music studio all day. He has a little studio over the garage. He's in there playing his instruments all day, and I'm in the kitchen cooking. That's what makes me happy. So, those days you'll have, on some days 9 or 10 recipes if the whole band was visiting us. And then other days there'll be, we had eggs for dinner. So it really is exactly what happened in our home and in our lives for that whole year.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it fun for people is that there's something relatable in there for everyone. There's very simple meals and really elaborate things that, people probably wouldn't associate with me at all. The porchetta that I cured for 4 days, or corned beef that was in the fridge for a week, or using the slow smoker and making a 7-hour brisket, and so there's things that we wouldn't put in the daytime show or on a 30-minute meal show or something. So it's really all of our food life, and there's lots of little side notes and funny things that happened along the way. And
Yeah. Well, when do you know when you want to take a shortcut and when you want to go and do it the hard way? Like with the eggs and chorizo.
it's all about whether or not I have the time.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I love to cook, and I would spend the entire kitchen or day in the kitchen every day if I had that luxury. And I do, really. I get to spend it in kitchen at work, but I have to produce 3 shows a day if it's the daytime show, 4 shows a day if it's 30-minute meals, 2 shows a day if it's weekend a day, which is 10 meals. So that has to sort of move along. I can't just do one thing all day. But at home, I have the luxury of that. I can go back and forth and work on several things.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about that because this is an impressive undertaking, and I look at it, and it's really engaging, and it's also a little intimidating because I'm not sure if everybody in the audience and out there in podcast land realize this, but this is your 21st book.
Yeah.
Right? And you wrote this while, I guess, starring in or running 4 TV shows. So you have...
Yes.
4 TV shows, your 21st book, and you also have a magazine, a monthly magazine that is one of the most popular, if not the most popular food magazine on the planet, right?
Well, we're doing okay.
Yeah, I think so. It's somewhere around there. So, any one of those tasks would be more than enough for me and probably anybody else in this audience. Are there any days where you just want to hang out on the porch?
No, I'm really bad at it, actually. I am not happy unless I'm working. And I come, from a mom who worked 100 hours a week in restaurants for more than 40 years. My grandfather was a stonemason, and he'd work all day and come home. And he was the primary cook, and he had 10 kids, and he grew everything in his gardens. And, he'd still wake his kids up in the middle of the night if it was the Northern Lights, and he'd bring them out onto the lawn in their PJs and stretch them out and sing to them. He was... We're people that never had balance from generation to generation. We always had more work than play. But we're also people that for generations have enjoyed playing as hard as we work, and that when we go home, we want that to be a little adventure too, and we want to sit up too late and eat dinner at midnight if you have to, so that we can sit around and talk to each other and have rosy cheeks and drink wine and share stories and eat food. that to me is what quality of life is. It's not about how much money you have or how much time you have. It's about how much fun you had at the end of the day, and do you feel like you earned that fun? I like to feel like I earned that. And what I do is this, and I like it. So it's really not hard for me to do any of it. It actually feels almost vacation-like to me because I worked in gourmet foods, production kitchens, and restaurants all of my life. And I'm usually, whether I was working in a restaurant or a retail store, I was unloading trucks at 5 or 6 in the morning, working a production kitchen or a retail floor all day, then going home and cooking at night. That's labor. Scribbling some ideas in a little notebook and typing while some lovely woman blows out your hair for you and some other guy puts some stuff on your face.
Yeah.
And you get to wear clothes that you couldn't even afford for the first 30 years of your life. I mean, that's pretty lovely. And what's there to complain about? What I do for a living is what I would do on a day off from any other job that I've ever had. And I love working in food, period. You don't have to lie, cheat, steal. Everybody's always hungry, so you always have a job. And working in food is fantastic. It's only about sharing and not taking yourself too seriously. And food connects you to every generation. It takes you any place you've never been. So if you're poor, it can really cheer you up because you can go to France as quick as you can buy a cheap bottle of wine and make some dinner, You can, being able to cook for myself, which is something my grandfather taught my mother. She was the first of the 10, so she taught me. It's very empowering. You never are afraid if you don't have a lot of money because you can provide for yourself. And then if you do have some money in the bank, it's this luxury because you can share it with more people and entertain more, and you can drink even better wine and learn even more about food and try even different things. But rich or poor, it is a luxury item. Being able to prepare food for yourself is not only basic, but it's a luxury. It provides you with great self-esteem and a wonderful escape. It's a joy for me to go home and make dinner with my husband. I mean, truly a joy.
It sounds like it's a source of pleasure where you don't have to spend a lot of money, and in fact, the more that you spend isn't necessarily a guarantee of greater pleasure.
Some of my happiest times were when I was working at Macy's back in the day when there was a big food hall there, and I'd work during the holidays, what we called Ironmans. And, you'd literally get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, get home at midnight. And on the weekend, on Sunday, if I had a full day or half a day off, I would go shopping. Literally, my food budget was $40, kind of ironic because of the $40 a day show.
Right.
But that was my food budget for the whole week. And that, to me, was plenty. I'd buy a whole chicken, some dried or canned beans, some root vegetables, some garlic, a little tomato, and I'd be set. Can of anchovies, a little pasta. And I'd go home and cook for the whole week. And every day, even if I was only sleeping 3 or 4 hours, I was eating the food that I grew up with, food that I understood. I felt so great, even if I only had a few hours sleep. And I loved going to work because I was helping people be happy with food. I can't tell you what it's given to my life to be able to do that for myself. And I think no matter what you want to give your child, whether they're going to be a rocket scientist or a great musician, everyone should teach their kids how to cook for themselves. It's really inspiring, and it gives you self-esteem, and it makes you feel safe, and it's kind of everything. And if you want to date somebody, the way to anybody's anything is always through a plate, my opinion.
Yeah.
Anybody can make a reservation, but even if you burn it or serve it to them raw, even if they get sick, you were definitely dessert if you cook dinner.
Yeah. Well, so how do you keep all of the ideas fresh? I mean, because you've been generating recipes and cooking in front of audiences now for...
I have little categories in my head, so I separate them into make your own takeout, yes, your kids will eat it, date night, cupboard cooking. I have all these little categories, so it's sort of like a puzzle game in my head. And I can always look back through my notebooks and see what I haven't written in a while. Yeah. Oh, I haven't done a burger in a while. So then I just say, what kind of burger do I feel like? Or what kind of burger would my neighbor eat? Or what kind of burger would a burger hater eat? So I just play games with myself.
What kind of a burger would a burger hater eat?
Exactly. It has to be a burger that's not necessarily made out of ground beef, because chances are that person had a bad experience with
With the
ground
beef.
beef,
Okay.
and their parent overcooked it, or they got sick on it in the cafeteria. So first of all, it can't be made of beef.
Okay.
So then you have to start building, well, if you're a burger hater and you don't want beef, what tastes the least like beef but everybody loves? You go to poultry, turkey or chicken. And then you go into what's most popular when you get to the turkey or the chicken: buffalo anything, cheesy anything, or chili anything, Tex-Mexy sort of a thing. And you go on and on. So you just play these games with yourself. And then I code them in the notebooks. DTS is daytime show, 30mm is 30-minute meals, EDWRR is the magazine, WID is week in a day. So I just go through and sort of code them, and at the end of the week, I did not take the typing elective when I was in high school. I still suck at typing. So I slowly and painfully type all of that in on the weekend mornings.
Well, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about technology, because we're here.
Yes.
So you're talking about writing and typing. So you're not working off of you're pretty manual.
Yes,
Yeah.
I write everything in the little notebooks. On the airplane, I bring my iPad, and my husband got me a keyboard that attaches to it, because I'm not so good at the on-screen typing, but I'm better at the actual keys. So I spend a lot of airplane time translating the little notebooks, but sad but true, I still write in the little notebooks. And I had several friends give me pens so that I could write in the books. But the tip is too fat, and I can only write like a quarter of a recipe on one page.
Okay.
So I had to go back to the paper for the actual writing. I can't just write direct into the thing. I
Right.
have to have the paper part.
Got it.
And
Yeah.
sometimes I draw little diagrams and doodles of how I want it to look when it's done.
Yeah, with all the marginalia, like you want a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but are there times where you think like, oh, I had that idea and I wish I could search?
Yes, and then I call my husband and ask him to help me through all of the, because it's all in there.
Yeah.
It's all been backed up and put into all of the devices that I have. There's a big giant library of them. So I can go back and say, oh, what did I do the other time I did something like this? And, people around me help me with it. And I'm trying to get better at it. And now when I write, I try and work with a team of people that help to make the book really exciting for people that like it on an iPad or on a device. I try and make sure that we have value for those people that's different from value of people that still like a book in print. So we try and build really fun add-ons into both, so that they both have, value, I guess, is the key for me. When it comes to products, I don't have to have the cheapest, but I have to have the best quality at that price. When it comes to content for the magazine, will everyone value this? Rich or poor, young or old? Can someone see themselves doing this or being a part of this? Content for the daytime show, what I watch is if I were sitting at home, and am I going to learn anything or have a laugh from it? Or, what is the value of this thing? So we try as a team to work very competitively on that, and to raise our bar with each project to make them the smartest, the best, and the most for the dollar.
Right.
Whether it's on an iPad that you're reading something or in print.
So with the iPad, when you were talking about the update to this, I guess I'll call it a project, because it's more than a book, it's a project. So that will happen automatically with the iPad?
Yeah, I have delivered all of the stuff, of course, and the publisher is organizing it, and I think the first couple of months are already up, and they'll put it out through the first few weeks of the book release as they get it edited and, prettied up, I guess. I don't know, but my part's done. It's there.
It'll go up there. So you're good with deadlines?
I try to be, yeah. I don't like to upset people that are counting on me. I'm a waitress at heart. I grew up working in food service. I've been working in food, legally since 14, and off the books since, my mother brought us all to work with her. She didn't like strangers watching the kids. So I've been, cleaning shrimp and cleaning out the walk-ins since way before I had papers. And I liked the feeling of being a good waitress. I like serving people what they're expecting from me. So if the deadline isn't met, it's for a reason, or because we're still debating something, or because I want to deliver more content. In fact, with this project, they tried to talk me down a little bit and say, you know what? This is kind of 3 times what we agreed to for a book's content. So, there's all my lovely notebooks, aren't they?
Yeah,
There's something, huh?
Yeah, that doesn't look too high tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely a low tech.
That actually looks like an artifact that you dug out of the yard. No.
Yeah,
no.
thank you.
No offense. Yeah,
But yeah, that's it. That's how I do it.
Huh.
Yeah.
No, those are
Wow,
really
that's
beautiful
so
as well.
embarrassing. My handwriting is terrible. Perhaps I should have been a doctor.
Well, so you were just calling yourself a waitress. I've also read that you don't consider yourself to be a chef, but you do.
No, I'm not.
you're
I
a
mean,
cook.
chefs have proper papers, their pedigree. And I grew up working in restaurants, and I feel I can put a delicious meal on the table, but I also think it would be misleading to not correct people when they call me chef. And I know lots of proper chefs have gotten there by working their way through kitchens, but I just feel like, you know, if I didn't go through a culinary program at the CIA or something and I can't properly wear a tall hat, I just want to give respect to that. I also think that there are things, you know, that cooks and my family and things that I do on air that may be shortcuts that chefs don't do. You know, all of our culinary staff at work, they are proper chefs, and they stopped chopping onions the way they were taught in culinary school, and they now chop them like I chop them.
Yeah.
They don't do those side cuts. They just go down, 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 across, cross, cross, because an onion is already layered, so why bother with this thing?
You know, I've struggled with that
I'm
issue a
just
little
saying,
bit. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
the truth.
Yeah.
So,
No, there's nothing wrong with a shortcut if it gets you there.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, on time.
So maybe mine is the onion hack and theirs is the onion chop, but they both look cute when they're done, and
Yeah.
whatever, so my food's rustic.
Right. And as long as you have a sharp knife.
That's your best friend, sharp knife.
Yeah.
Big cutting board, sharp knife, garbage bucket, or bowl, as I call them. Yes.
If you were to make something out of this book, like what's on your mind that you would want to make in the next few days? You know, keeping in mind that it's like 29 degrees at night here in New York.
Well, I'm about ready to go on book tour, so I won't have a chance to cook for a few days. But I left my husband enough stuff that he can make the cider beef. It's a slow cooked, very easy, few ingredients. Beef that's slow cooked in cider, as one might guess from the name. We always have in the pantry the ability to make aglio olio with lots of anchovy, anchovy, lots of garlic, olive oil, chili pepper. I have 20 different cuts of pasta there for him. The pantry's always stocked, so we can make several basics. We always have canned fish, lots of olive oil, lots of tomato product, dried and canned beans, lots of dried pastas. John could, be snowed in for 4 or 5 days and he'd be just fine. He's a great cook. And
Right. So when Sandy hit, you were fine. You were able
yeah, we were very, very fortunate. We were just a few blocks from the big explosion. And in New York, we're on the 6th floor, but I don't know how they numbered that building or how much they were drinking, but it's actually 18 flights of stairs to get to the 6th floor for us. So we were very,
So
very
it's
fortunate.
tall ceilings.
It was a dark week at our show, so we were able to take the dog, 65-pound pit bull, and us, and hide out upstate where I come from, the Adirondacks, where we all have generators. We all have little generators out back.
Right.
So we were able to cook and get by just fine there. So we were, just so lucky not to have to go up and down 18 flights of stairs, several times a day with the dog and the groceries and all that.
Well, so if you are traveling a lot, do you have like a plane picnic? Like, you can bring a little bit of snacks? When
No,
you
I
fly
always
away?
usually have almonds roaming around in the purse, cinnamon-flavored mini Altoids.
That's very civil and polite of you to have that.
Yeah. Well, I always smell like a salami, so I try and think ahead for strangers.
Right, you
so.
just go and mask that with a little.
But yeah,
little cinnamon.
I really use the plane time to catch up on the typing or try and watch a movie if it's a long flight and catch up on that. So no, I don't really eat much on the plane. I'm more of a nighttime. I know it's not good for you, but even if I get in from a signing late, I'm used to going home and cooking, so I like to hang out and sit and chat. Even if I go to bed and possibly late, I like to have a meal at the end of the day and just a little something after the gym, a handful of almonds or something in the morning.
It's nice. Civilized. Yeah.
Pretty civilized, I guess.
Well, so I think we're going to go and turn it over to the audience.
We have a microphone. Oh, I see a couple on the end already.
There's a couple right there.
Coming on down. We'll start on the end, just work in.
Hi. Okay, I never use these things. First of all, I want to say you taught me how to cook. I started watching your show when I was 12. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I made something with chicken and mushrooms. I don't know. I don't think it was that edible, but it did get me started.
You want to hear me? I made my first meal all alone when I was 11 or 12 for my mom. And I made lasagna roll-ups with spinach and mushrooms and gorgonzola sauce. All sounds good there. But the only thing I knew that my mommy liked to drink was mimosas. So I did the fabulous wine pairing of orange juice and champagne.
I was going to say you put it in there in the sauce. I'm like, I don't know.
No, it didn't go quite that wrong. But shortly thereafter, a couple years later, I tried to make her a lemon cottage cake, and that was a total disaster. It was like this gummy, gelatinous, disgusting. Broke my heart, cried. Didn't bake for like 35 years. So you're way ahead of me. You're way ahead of me, light years.
Thank you.
Glad you got over the chicken and mushroom debacle.
Yeah, I'm really good at both of those things now. So, but the question is, now that you've gotten so much done, the shows and the magazine and the books, is there anything that you go home at the end of the day and you lay in bed and you're like, I really want to do this. I can't wait till I can do something.
I love to jump out of airplanes, but I've done that 5 times, so I had to set new goals. I have been taking Italian every Wednesday night for a couple of years now, and still basically just know menu Italian and days of the week. So I'm trying to get proficient at that. I also would love to play a musical instrument before I die. So I'm going to try and get back to at least my percussion lessons. I air drum a lot. My dream job would be guest drummer for the Foo Fighters, but now they temporarily broke up. So just back up for Dave Grohl anytime.
Yeah, well,
but that's a goal. I'd like to be proficient with instruments, or at least be a percussionist. And what else? I'm up to 5 miles a day. I want to at least run a half marathon. Not necessarily this year, but just in general, ultimately.
Those are good goals.
Yeah. We've got a few more in the front, and I see one all the way in the back.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, good.
Thanks
How are
for
you?
all that you've done for us, because believe me, a lot of us wouldn't even be able to get in the kitchen if it weren't for you.
Thank you.
A couple of questions on two
Sure.
on 2 areas. The Newark mayor is doing a food stamp challenge.
Yeah.
This, I guess he's doing 7 days from the 4th to the 11th to see how he can live on as a vegetarian on food stamps. Do you ever consider anything along those lines?
Yeah, Mario, my friend Mario Batali invited me to do it. He's already done that. We work together a lot at Food Bank, of course, and City Harvest. They're partners with our Yumma organization. Our children's initiative has 3 tiers to eradicate hunger. The next door neighbor is, of course, obesity and type 2 diabetes, so we work to lower that level. And then we have an education program, a scholarship program for public school kids who wish to go into any sort of food-related field. So it's very important to me, and because of the way I used to live off $40 a week of groceries, to be able to do that. My only problem is being able to be in town or not doing something for the show or an event or something is finding that week of time. But it is on my goal list, and yes, I desperately want to do that. But I want it to be true blue. You know, I want to be able to have 7 days where my husband and I can live off just that. And it's just hard to juggle all the schedules and make that happen. And I don't want it to be a cheat. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and the second one, I spent a lot of time in the military, from the time of CRES to the MREs.
Yeah.
Never a good experience. Is there any way that you can give tips to some of our men and women in uniform on how to improve those MREs? I send stuff to them all of the time, from little packages to hot sauces and the like. But from an expert, it would be more than appreciated.
Yeah, I think that you're on the right track there with hot sauce. I mean, I could eat anything if it had some flavor to it. So, you know, it's sort of tangential, but I got to tell you, we were the first condiment in space. We did 30-minute meals, and they dehydrated them and put them into the little trays, and they actually made all the condiments and things because I said I didn't want to participate unless they could have the flavor there. And I think that whether the food comes out of a tube or it's pureed, my mom, when I was a little kid, didn't buy baby food. She pureed what everybody was eating at the dinner table, and that's what we ate. And I think there's a lesson in that, you know. don't dumb down anybody's food. And if you can add a spice pack or give somebody a little bit of hot sauce, I never get on an airplane without literally a little foodie survival kit, all of the little spices in a tube. And I have actually had people open up the bag and look like I'm trying to pass something weird or funky, but they're really just dried herbs or spices. But
Right.
I think it's
Just some
there you
dried herbs
go.
and
Important
powders,
to
yeah.
travel with those little. It makes such a difference. I mean, you could eat anything if you can boost that flavor a little bit. Put a little dried something on it.
A little bit of fun in it, right?
Put a little fun in it. A little fun for the palate.
Our next question's all the way in the back
Hello.
over here.
Good evening. I just want to know, what do you recommend that's heart healthy? 'Cause, like,
I
have,
do. Ton of heart healthy all throughout the year and all over our website too. And you can search it just by that. You could just type in kale and see everything I make with kale. I grew up in a house where my grandpa lived with us when I was little, and I had the diet of like a 70-plus Sicilian man because I was with him all the time, and that's the food I like to eat. So we grew up eating food that was cooked primarily in olive oil with lots of lean proteins, lots of fish and seafood, and tons of dark leafy greens. And I mean, that's the way I like and prefer to eat at home, as you'll see if you look in the book. But we make it so easy on the website, on all of our apps and things. If you just type in any keyword, if you want fish or seafood, you'll find it. If you want kale, you'll find it. And that's the easiest way, is to just tailor your own book instead of getting a whole book of this and that and the other. Make your own. But it's so easy now to make your own heart healthy or any other sort of diet you're following. It might be a challenge if you don't want to eat any sort of carbohydrates with my books, but yeah.
We've got time for 2 more questions. I see one in the middle, and then I'm going to head back to the back row again.
Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. How about some dog-friendly recipes?
Oh, we've always included dogs in our magazine. There's always a column for dog-friendly food every single month. And we have an entire line of made-to-human standard pet food. And all of the sales of that, 100% of my sales have always gone since day one to animal rescue. And thanks to Nutrish, which is the name of our dog food line, we've raised about $4 million in the first couple of years.
Well, there you go.
The dogs eat microwave eggplant Frisbees? This is fabulous. I'm going to try this. He said microwave the eggplant and use them as Frisbees, and the dogs eat them.
I'm not sure all dogs would. I'm not sure my
I'm
dog
going to try
would.
it on Isabel.
I'll try it.
She loves butternut squash.
Really?
Yep.
My dog loves carrots, but she won't eat the tail end of it. She won't eat the root.
Neither will Izzy, but she will eat ferns. She loves maiden ferns and curly parsley, but not flat leaf. Isn't that bizarre?
That's very specific.
Yes.
Yeah.
But maiden ferns are very like curly, fluffy, lacy looking things.
Yeah. And fiddlehead?
No, doesn't like the fiddlehead. Nope. Really, that's it. Maiden fern, which not good, no bueno for the dog.
Yeah.
It makes her stomach all gurgly, but she keeps going at it. I put it here, I move it there, I make it higher. Somehow she gets up there. But loves the parsley, but prefers the curly. Loves the butternut squash. Will love carrots, but only if they're cooked. Not so much with the crunchy, and most
Okay.
dogs prefer the crunchy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and my dog, she loves blueberries because they roll. It's very
Oh,
exciting.
because it's fun. Isabu loves apples during apple picking season because she thinks they're balls. She doesn't know they're an apple until she bites down on it, and then she gets very excited about
really
the juice,
exciting, yeah.
rolls around on her back, and
Yeah.
laps it all up. It's adorable.
Yeah.
Oh, that really hurt because I twisted a little that way, but whatever.
We've got our final question all the way here in the back row.
Hello again. I love your hat. You look fabulous, by the way.
Thank you. I love you, Rachel, so much.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Hi, Rachel. How
Hi.
are you? I love you.
I love you too. You look hot.
Thank you. I just want to know who's your favorite fashion designer, because I'm a fashion designer and I go to FIT.
Oh my God, I should have known that.
Yeah.
That's why you look so incredible.
Thank you.
I have to tell you the truth. When I get home, I love PJ Salvage, my favorite pajama company. I am really a pajama person. I'm a bedhead and PJ Salvage. On my wedding night, I came out in a Cosa Bella negligee that my friends gave me as a gift. And my husband, John, laughed at me, cracked up, bent over, keeled over laughing, and said, "Who are you kidding? Go put your pajamas on." But when I do go out, I like well, a lot of people. I love Helmut Lang. I love Isabel Marant. I love I don't know how to say it. Is it Zadig and Voltaire? Is that correct? Love
Zadig,
them. In
yeah.
fact, this is their jacket, but my friend Greta gave it to me. But if I had my way, I would live in my sweats, in my Lululemons, and then when I get home, I would put on my pajamas. When I entertain, though, I put on Notori. I put on the fancier pajamas and my dress slippers.
Well, this is like some real straight talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably too much information, but we're good?
We're good.
Thank you, everybody.